Thank you very much. Program Director Memotene, the Chairman of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Professor Njabulo Ndebele, Dr. Mampela Rampela, and other trustees of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, as well as retiring trustees, the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Mr. Sello Hatang, the Mandela family, the Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic, let me correct something, Justice Ray Zondo, not Raymond. He doesn't like the Mond. Acting Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic, Justice Sisi Kampepe, Cabinet Ministers present, and Deputy Ministers and MECs, Honorable Members of Parliament, Tonagapendangene nawe jenene, siyanhlonipha. The judiciary, so Justices Sachs and Mba, donors of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Samsam, Brand SA, APSA, University of Johannesburg, and Anglo-American, struggle veterans, Ms. Sophia Williams-De Bruyn, members of the legal profession, members of the religious community. Our host has been mistakenly left out. I acknowledge you, Fourth Industrial Revolution personified. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, my dear wife, a source of great support, I acknowledge you too. President Nelson Mandela said, open quote, "I'm not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying," close quote. Meaning that he too could err. None of us should therefore make a disingenuous attempt to undermine his hitherto unmatched leadership credentials on the basis that he erred in one way or the other, as if he ever held himself out as a person who is immune to committing mistakes. And none of whatever errors he might have made can, in the very least, detract from the profundity of his contribution to the essence of practical, ethical, and selfless leadership. I believe that generations to come, particularly those who genuinely care about fellow human beings, will ceaselessly drink from Madiba's well of wisdom-laden and ethical leadership. Let me try and explain what the lecture SIC is all about. Having been challenged to share some reflections on constitutionalism as an instrument of transformation, I think here lies the challenge. Once I have shared what Madiba has been saying about constitutionalism and the critical role that a constitution is intended to play, just keep on asking yourself, what is it that I'm going to do hereafter? When you are in the company of thieves, of criminals, and you only say, you know, it's not right to be a thief. Criminality is wrong. But do not focus on who the thief is and how they go about stealing and what needs to be done to them. They will be joining you. they will come up with profound statements in relation to just how wrong theft and criminality is. So the purpose of this lecture ought to be, what is wrong with our society? How did it come about that 25 years down the line, we still have people without homes? So many people, everywhere you go. We still have racial discrimination, ethnicity, gender discrimination, even tribalism. How did it come about that we still have to contend with a situation where in the higher echelons of the corporate sector, because it is rare to come across a woman or a black person, we celebrate when we find just a handful. Something is fundamentally wrong, and we've got to confront it and come up with practical steps to give practical expression to constitutionalism in South Africa. Now, I thought the best way to do justice to the topic would be to quote generously from Madiba's own reflections on constitutionalism as the instrument of transformation. And we begin. On the occasion of signing the final constitution of the Republic of South Africa into law in Sharpeville on the 10th of December 1996, President Nelson Mandela had this to say, open quotes: as we close a chapter of exclusion and a chapter of a heroic struggle, we reaffirm our determination to build a society of which each of us can be proud. As South Africans, as Africans, and as citizens of the world, as your first democratically elected president, I feel honored and humbled by the responsibility of signing into law a text that embodies our nation's highest aspirations. So the Constitution is an instrument for building. Building a society within which none would have a reason to be ashamed of his or her state of affairs. So if you want to know what kind of South Africa, Africa, and the global village we, the people of South Africa, desire and plan to have, examine our Constitution. But let me say at this early stage, very little is going to be accomplished for as long as we allow our people to be ignorant of their rights in the Constitution. You can't fight for what you don't know. You can't fight for what you don't touch. It's almost as if we seek to take advantage of the ignorance of our people by not doing anything. The greatest facilitator of sustained injustice is keeping people ignorant of what they are entitled to. That is why the smaller version of the likes of Long Walk to Freedom were impermissible for an African person, a black person, to possess during the apartheid era, because it was known, once you have been enlightened by what Madiba had to say about justice and equality, you were going to take actions as South African on a massive scale. Now that extends, the need to know extends to constitutionalism, because knowledge is power. Nelson Mandela went on to say, open quotes, today we cross a critical threshold. Let us now draw in strength from the unity which we have forged, together grasp the opportunities and realize the vision enshrined in the Constitution. Let us give practical recognition to the injustices of the past by building a future based on equality and social justice, close quotes. We need to be strong and united as the people of South Africa. We never used to be united as black and white people of this country, as you know, but unity is essential for the realization of what Nelson Mandela refers to as open codes, the vision enshrined in this constitution, close quotes. We have to give practical expression to the injustices of the past. And anybody who says, please stop blaming it on apartheid and colonialism, is being mischievous. What we can do What we cannot do is to blame it all on colonialism and apartheid. But most of the problems that we have to contend with right now are a direct consequence of colonialism and apartheid. It is therefore absolutely necessary that we never stop talking about colonialism and its sister, neo-colonialism and apartheid. Because then you leave those who have always believed in this crime against humanity to be comfortable. And to shape it in a sophisticated way, in such a way that it doesn't quite look like discrimination when in fact it is. We would be betraying the legacy of Madiba if we don't give practical expression to the injustices of our past. And the question is, what are those injustices? Racism that is still alive, ethnicity, tribalism, gender discrimination, and exclusivity, where it matters the most in the corporate sector. It's an injustice. We all have the responsibility to build this country. We have a great country, good people. Let us not waste time polarizing society. Let us not waste efforts and energy seeing ourselves as white and black people as if we are enemies. Let's focus on principle. Let's confront and expose any institution and anybody who practices discrimination. And let us look for practical steps to put an end to this injustice. It really is a shame that 25 years down the line, we still have so many of our people suffering as much as they do. It is a shame that inequality has become sharper during our constitutional democracy than during apartheid. And check who is at the top. Madiba went on to say on that occasion of signing our constitution into law, open quotes, let us nurture our national unity by recognizing with respect and joy the languages, cultures and religions of South Africa in all their diversity. We need unity now more than ever before. It has got to be something that each and every one of us worries about on a daily basis. And the simplest way to start is to seek to understand or to know more about another. As a South African, you've got to want to know other languages. We can't just be learning English. We've got to know Chivenda, isiXhosa. If you are committed to build